Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Calling All Freelance Lawyers. And that is for sure what we're doing. We're always on the look for more talented freelance lawyers to add to our incredible network at LAWCLERK.legal. So thank you for joining me. My name is Kristin Tyler. I'm an attorney and I'm one of the co-founders. And my goal today is to kind of help, if you've ever been one of those people to sit at your desk and daydream about like, gosh, I wish I could just be a freelance lawyer and I could just do the research and writing and not have to deal with the clients and my boss and the opposing counsel and all of those stressful things. Like, the message I want to get across loud and clear today is there has never been a better time to launch a career as a freelance lawyer. If this has ever been something you've toyed with or daydreamt about, the timing is really good. So my guess is that if you're here today, you're probably already familiar with LAWCLERK, but if not, what we do in a nutshell is we help match up busy attorneys, mostly solo attorneys and small firms, with our really incredible network of freelance lawyers. We have people all across the country in all 50 states. And in fact, if you're joining me here live today, I'd love in the chat if you would share where you're joining from. I always think that's really interesting to see if you want to drop a note in the chat. But yeah, that's what we do. There are no fees to sign up. So if you want to make a freelancer account, no fees to sign up and no monthly fees. There are two sides to our work, and we'll talk about those today. There's a project-based side where it's just project by project, 1 gig at a time. You help a lawyer write a motion, you help a lawyer do some research, you help your lawyer organize some documents, whatever. So project by project. And then also in January of this year, 2021, we launched a subscription-based working program where, an attorney who's really slammed could say, hey, I really need 20 hours of help a month, or I need 60 hours of help, whatever it can be. They customize how much help they need. And then we go out and find the best freelancer for their needs to match them up. So whether you are interested in the occasional project as a little side hustle to get some more money, or you're looking for deeper, more ongoing work still in that freelance role, we can help you find both of those at LAWCLERK.legal. Okay, so really, when you talk about secret sauce or secret weapons, the number one secret weapon of LAWCLERK is the power of our freelancers. When we started this company a couple years ago, we didn't know what to expect in terms of what type of attorneys would join us to do freelance work, and the response has blown us away. We find on average that our freelance lawyers have been out of school for at least 11.6 years. So most of them are very experienced attorneys. They have lived their own cases, fought their own battles, and for a whole variety of reasons, they're choosing to do freelance work, which is really exciting. And thankfully, because of tools like LAWCLERK, it's a lot easier for folks to find freelance opportunities. The whole concept of a freelance lawyer is really nothing new to legal. It's been around for decades. We've always known about the so-called contract lawyer that busy attorneys would hire from time to time. But the thing with the contract lawyer, it was usually just someone in your local community who may or may not have time to help you and who may or may not have the expertise that you need. And the beauty of platforms like LAWCLERK is that you can connect with even deeper talent. And so if you're considering it, I really hope you will give us a shot. Okay, so we have one freelancer joining us here. He says he's licensed in California and New York. That's awesome. We have huge demand in California and New York. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So our freelancers, like I said, come to freelance work for a whole variety of reasons. Some people, just like to do the research and writing. Some people have their own practice, and when they slow down, they pick up freelance work to help supplement their income. We have a bunch of freelance lawyers who are either retired or semi-retired and just really love the law, and so they want to continue their legal career in a limited capacity during retirement. We have people coming to us from second careers who have kind of, very deep expertise in maybe medical or other areas that they can lend to your cases and your clients in addition to their legal knowledge. We have people who have day jobs and like to moonlight. Again, a lot of them are maybe younger, no family, no ties, and just want to make some extra money. But more and more, we're seeing people like these two in the middle here launch freelance careers right out of school because they just want a different lifestyle. And of course, we have a lot of freelancers who are taking time off from the so-called traditional practice of law to take care of young children or elderly parents, things like that. So our freelancers come to us from all walks of life. And sorry, I'm just realizing this photo might be blocking some of the words. I'm going to move it. They come to us from all walks of life, all backgrounds, and all are welcome. Okay. So what are some of the benefits of a freelance career? Well, of course, you can work anytime, anywhere. I know a lot of freelance lawyers who are living abroad in Europe, in Central America, on islands. If you've got a Wi-Fi connection, you can do freelance legal work, and that's pretty cool. Of course, this goes to an improved lifestyle and can enhance your well-being. If you know the stress of working in a firm environment was not for you, fine, do something else. That's the beauty of a law degree, is it can open a lot of doors for you to do whatever you might want to do. Hopefully that means less stress. It means more flexibility to do the things you enjoy and spend time with the people you care about. And there's just so many more benefits out there too. You know, the definition of success in the law is really different for every lawyer I talk to. Some people want the demanding job and the big house and the fancy car and the Rolex. Other people don't care about those things so much. They want to travel and have experiences and have fewer hours in the office. So whatever your definition of success is, go after it. That's my big message for you today. All right, let's get into some of the common questions that I get from people considering freelance careers or freelance work. And certainly if you have other questions, for those of you joining me live, please drop those in the chat. But one of the questions that comes out a lot is what areas of law do we see the most demand? What are the most common areas of law that we see go through the law clerk marketplace? Well, without a doubt, of course, civil litigation, which means a lot of different things, right? We see this in terms of energy clients or construction, medical clients, any sort of business litigation, civil litigation. Of course, we see a ton of that. Now, beyond kind of the basics of civil litigation, and that is both the plaintiff side and defense side. We see work on both sides. One of our biggest areas, of course, is family law. We get a lot of family law work. We get a lot of immigration work, bankruptcy, another big one. More and more real estate work, and I anticipate that's going to stay busy and steady, as immigration will undoubtedly be very busy for at least the next 4 years. Beyond these, gosh, we see everything though. Like those are some of the big ones. But just in the last week, like I just yesterday was helping find an attorney from Kansas who needed help with some work that he does for nonprofits. So that's kind of unique. We see more and more patent and IP related work going through the site. Believe it or not, a decent amount of really high-end mergers and acquisitions type work that, to be honest with you, I don't fully understand, but I'm a probate and estate lawyer by trade. So we see it all, and that's pretty exciting too. And so that would be my feedback on that. But for sure, pretty broad litigation type work. And also we do see about, I would say 30% transactional, about, 65 to 70% is litigation based work, and 30 to 35% is transactional would be my rough numbers on that. It's hard to pinpoint that data, but that is a rough estimate based on what we're seeing day in and day out. Okay. We also get questions about, well, or is there work all over the country, or how does that work? Okay. A couple of points on this question. The bulk of our work really, very interestingly, kind of follows like the whole electoral map. So we see a ton of work from the West Coast, California. We see a ton of work from Texas, from Florida, up the East Coast, New York, New Jersey. But it really kind of follows the electoral map. But that being said, we see work from everywhere. Like I said, I was working with a client from Kansas yesterday. We see work in Georgia, Wyoming. I'm trying to think. I mean, we see a little bit everywhere. But again, the important thing to keep in mind is, let's say you are a Kentucky licensed attorney, and maybe you think you can only do work for other attorneys in Kentucky. Now, yes, in some situations, our clients, the hiring attorneys, do want to hire a freelancer from their own state who is licensed in their same state. But the beauty of the law clerk system is that because of the way our model is based, we limit the role of the freelance lawyer to do the work that is classified as paraprofessional work, meaning they are working in the background under the supervision of the primary attorney who is responsible for the case. That means the freelance lawyer is not engaged in the practice of law. They shouldn't have any direct contact with the client other than for purely information gathering. If that's needed, we discourage that, but you should not be giving legal advice to the attorney's clients. You're not going to be taking depositions or appearing at court hearings. You're not going to be engaging with opposing counsel, etc. So because you're not doing those things, you're going to be taking on the research, the writing, the drafting, the analysis, the strategic type of work that can be very time consuming and needs a high level of skill, but you're not going to do those other things. And so because of that, We don't get into problems with UPL, unauthorized practice of law. And it opens the doors so that if you're a Kentucky-based lawyer who happens to have, you know, immigration experience, you could work with someone from anywhere. Now, granted, immigration is a national practice, but let's say you're a Kentucky criminal law attorney. You could still freelance and do work under the supervision of an attorney from Utah or Oregon or Montana or wherever. And that's the beauty of how it works. And of course, keeping in mind, there are limited situations where the attorney wants someone in their state for whatever reason, but that, I hope you get the idea. That's kind of the gist behind it. Okay, moving on. So let's say you are ready to take the plunge and join LawClerk and look for some freelance opportunities. Awesome. Again, as a reminder, there's no fee to sign up and there's no monthly fee if you just want to join and check it out. You can do that at lawclerk.legal, click sign up, and it takes just a few minutes to get your profile up and going. Now, once you register, I have some tips on how to enhance your profile to try to stand out from the other candidates. You know, on average, we have at least 12 attorneys who apply for each of our freelance positions that's available, whether it's a project-based work or subscription. And so there's definitely some things you can do to help yourself stand out and give you a better chance at landing that work. Number one, and I can't emphasize this enough, have a friendly yet professional profile picture. We have so many people that come on and they're scowling and they're angry and they look very unpleasant. And who wants to work with those people? I mean, nobody does, right? So don't have one of those pictures. You know, this is another thing we see a lot where people make their profile and then it's like no picture, no pizzazz, it's just totally blank. Like, do upload a picture, but try to get a nice friendly one. Here, I have a couple of examples. Thing to advance. There we go. So Brianna and Fabio both nailed it here. Friendly smiles, yet professional, put together, approachable. They look like they'd be pleasant to work with, et cetera, et cetera. And plus they have awesome ratings. So like that helps too. But this would be my biggest advice. Have a friendly yet professional photo. And, you know, don't worry if you don't have a professional headshot. You know, you probably have one of these little devices nearby. Take some selfies or have a friend take a photo. Go out in natural light. You're going to get a better picture there. So that's my number one tip. Number two, we are gonna require you to upload a bio and a resume. Take a read back through that. I can't tell you how many bios I look at and like there's a typo in the first sentence and I just kind of smack my forehead. Like, your bio is your first chance to present yourself to these attorneys who are considering working with you on that freelance basis. So look at them with a close eye. Again, maybe have a friend review them for you and give some input on how you can tighten things up or make them shine even more, but definitely highlight yourself here. This is your chance to not be modest, brag, tell us how awesome you are so that you can shine. And again, Fabio's done a great job with this, with his, you know, he has a short little 3-paragraph bio. Of course, his full resume is also uploaded along with a writing sample. He does a lot of appellate work. So this is a nice one. It talks about his years of experience and, you know, the kind of attorneys he would like to work with, of course, where he went to school, where he's barred, all of that good stuff. Those are good things to put into your bio. Okay, if it's been a while since you've logged into your freelance, your LawClerk account, maybe you signed up a couple years ago and didn't get a lot of work or things changed, you took a full-time job, so you're not freelancing, you will get prompted from time to time to review and update your profile. So that's a good idea too. Number three, your writing sample, you know, update that from time to time to present your most mind-blowing work. Again, don't be shy. Certainly any document that's been filed on public record that your name's on, that's great. You can upload that because there's no concerns about attorney-client confidences. If you do transactional type work, you know, if you're doing work for a company and you want to show some sort of an agreement you wrote for them, just change the company name, you know, but Acme Corporation. You can even put a note at the top, like, you know, actual client name changed for privacy. That's totally understandable, but that's how you want to address that. Tip number 4, okay, when you apply for a project or you apply to get on one of our subscription-based working programs, there's the last step of applying is you have the option to leave a note. I believe it's 250 characters. It's the equivalent of like a tweet. This is your chance to really highlight some unique fact about why you are, you know, the absolute best candidate for this project or subscription. Take advantage of that feature. Leave a note. And that really helps people. That gets the attorney's attentions a lot and helps them navigate towards your profile and hopefully select you. So this is the screen where that will show up, and in that white box, you're okay. It's 300 characters. I was wrong. Sorry, I stand corrected. But this is where you can talk about that. So if you're applying for, you know, some sort of appellate brief on an issue involving stare decisis, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just wrote a brief on stare decisis 4 months ago and it won. Like, put that in here. Say, I just worked on a similar brief involving stare decisis a few months ago. That was successful on the appellate level. You know, those kinds of things are really going to help you get freelance work. And then that's, so here's an example of, again, we have this no photo, very, you know, lackluster applicant with no note. So the note normally shows up there. Whereas here, you know, James took a moment to type out a couple sentences, you know, highlight the fact he was applying for some sort of, I think, a bankruptcy litigation project. You know, he's practiced for 40 years, he's AB rated, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to be the part of your team. And again, he's got a great profile picture too. So this is a super example of how to take advantage of that note feature and let attorneys know why they should pick you for the job. All right. Another tip I have for you, if freelancing is new to you or you're trying to grow your freelance career, is you've got to figure out how to pace yourself. Just this week, in fact, I've seen 2 freelancers get in a little hot water because they took too much work on. They overextended themselves, and they weren't realistic with their time constraints. So, and I see this a lot, and I get it. You know, freelancing can feel a little bit like feast or famine, like when there's work coming in, you want to take everything. But the risk you run there is you're going to stretch yourself too thin. You probably might end up working more hours than you want to, and that's never fun. And you're not going to do your best work. You're not going to impress the attorneys you're working with, and most likely they're not going to come back to you again. So really pace yourself. If, you know, my rule of thumb that I tell freelancers is, if you're in doubt whether or not you have capacity to take on this other piece of work you're considering, you don't. Okay. When in doubt, just don't, because you don't want to get yourself on hot water. Okay. I see that a lot with our freelancers, and we're trying to help educate and be there for you. And certainly, you know, if you're on the fence about something, call us up at LAWCLERK. We're happy to be a listening ear and talk it through with you and see if it's a good idea to apply for the work or not. And obviously sometimes you apply for a bunch of things thinking, well, maybe I'll get 1 or 2 of these, and you end up getting all 4. Well, that's a good situation. If that happens and you know you can't do all 4, decline one of the work, or call us and say, you know what, hey, I can't believe it, but I applied for all 4 of these projects. They're all due next week. I got to bow out of these 2. I just can't get them done. That's fine. We'd much rather get that call a week ahead of time so we can work with the attorney to get that work reassigned to someone else. And, you know, the attorney's going to respect you for that, and they're going to give you another shot later on. So don't sweat that one. It's much better to not overextend yourself. Okay, I think I've beat that one to a dead horse, but, or whatever the saying is. Sorry. Okay, tip number 6. Be amazing. You really need to strive to do your best work every time and get top reviews. You know, our review scale is, oh, I'm sorry, my dog is going to talk to us here for a second. Our review scale is exceeded expectations, met expectations, or did not meet expectations. And if you get one of those did not meet expectations ratings, it shows up as red in the ratings bar. It really kind of stands out. And, you know, we do that for a reason, but for some attorneys, it's a total turnoff, and it could really prevent you from getting more work from some of our attorneys on the site. So, you know, even if you end up working with the attorney and they don't have the best personality, or it doesn't go the way you had hoped exactly, please do still try to do your best work, because then you'll get a good rating and you can find other attorneys that you enjoy working with more and keep that freelance career going. Okay. Tip number 7. Gosh, with a freelance career, communication is key. You're probably going to end up working with a couple of different attorneys, you know, or maybe many, and they all have different communication preferences, different communication styles. You know, for some of them, they're going to be very good about being responsive. For others, you might have to, you know, be the squeaky wheel and follow up with them a few times to get the information you need to complete their work. But always err on the side of over communicating. I can speak from my own experience managing associates in my law firm, as well as working with, you know, now our team at LAWCLERK, that I'm going, you know, 400 miles an hour all day long. I've got a lot of irons in the fire, and I genuinely appreciate it when someone on my team follows up with me, gives me another reminder, and they feel like they're bugging me. I always say, you're not bugging me. I appreciate the reminders. It helps keep me on track. So don't feel like you're being a pain or you're, nagging at them. They really do, by and large, appreciate those follow-up and those reminders to keep the work moving and not have any log jams in the process. So, it's also a good idea if you start working with an attorney for the first time, ask them, what's your preferred communication style? Like, do they just want to communicate through the chat feature on the LAWCLERK site? Do they like email? Do they not like email? Do they prefer phone, text, whatever? You can communicate any way you want. Ask them what their preference is and then stick to that. We also see that a lot of the most successful working relationships between our attorneys and the freelancers are ones where they have set up kind of a regular status check type meeting, whether that's once a week, twice a week, whatever. If you talk once, maybe make a plan to talk again in a few days and then follow up with that. It's a good, even if it's just for a few minutes, it's a good way for you to ask any quick questions, make sure you're on the same page and that the work is progressing the way you want it to, and way the attorney also wants that work to progress. Okay, a little bit more about the new subscription program. If you're interested in that, if you go to our homepage, lawclerk.legal, up in that top navy blue bar, and you can see it here, there's a link to Virtual Associate Subscription Program. We lay out all the details there, but we are definitely, we've been kind of overrun with our subscription orders, guys, especially if you are licensed in California. We have a ton of California-based subscription work, New York as well. We've several orders there, but most of them are open to working with someone anywhere. And that's why we really are trying to find more people that are interested in a freelance career. We'd love for you to sign up, be a part of that, and you can learn more about the subscription program there. Now, when subscription opportunities are available, we, the LAWCLERK company, post them. Right now, we're posting them as a team, which is a little confusing, but it will say Virtual Associate Subscription Program, and you'll see LAWCLERK, so that's what it is. We are building out some more robust features within the platform to manage that. That should be rolling out in, I believe my developer told me this morning, it's gonna be about 3 months. So, but they're in the works. It's a pretty complex system to build, and they're doing a great job. But we're building more. We always welcome feedback on subscription. And if you're interested in this, know there's a huge demand. We've already had, I think, 3 orders come in today that we're trying to place the right candidates. And so definitely check that out. We have some other webinars too, specifically on that topic. If you really want to know more about that, they're on our YouTube page if you'd like to learn by video. Okay, last but not least, if you're interested in being subscription work or being considered for subscription work, shoot us an email, let us know. We keep a list of people who have indicated they are definitely willing and doing larger quantities of freelance work per hours every month. Drop us an email, my team will get that to me, and we're happy to go over those. But again, I can't emphasize enough that if you've ever toyed with the idea of charting your own way as a freelance lawyer, there really has never been a better time. We've had a number of our freelancers over the past year quit their day jobs and just go full-time freelancing. And, most of the successful freelancers that we see on our site have a couple of pretty steady regular clients that they work with, sometimes through our site or sometimes directly. And then they take on project or subscription work through our site in addition. So, it's something where you're probably going to end up getting work from a few different channels of attorneys and resources. But if you're savvy and you do good work and you can connect with some great attorneys, it can be a very rewarding way to have a legal career and practice law and make a big impact. So definitely want to encourage you to go for it, give freelancing a try. All right, folks, that's the end of my planned remarks. If you have questions, feel free to start dropping those in the chat, and I'm happy to address those as best I can. One thing I forgot to mention is that that's exactly what I was going to bring up. Thank you, Michael. He asked, discuss rates and fees, how much tax reporting. Exactly. I just realized that's what I forgot to bring up. So we've already covered that there's no fee to sign up for the platform. There's no monthly fee. Okay, so just to be in there, be a part of it, nothing. When someone posts a project, let's say an attorney needs help with a motion for summary judgment, they'll post that project. They'll say, what are the issues involved? What's the deadline? And then that project-based work is done on a flat fee, okay? Let's say they post the flat fee and they say they're willing to pay $1,000 for that work. Great. That's a flat fee. There's no bartering on that. You don't get to go in and be like, well, I would do it for $1,200. Like that's what it is. The law clerk commission is 28%. So the net to the freelancer on that project would be $720. And if that's something where you're like, yeah, I could write that motion. I've written motions like that and I have time this week, great. You would apply. The attorney gets to review the applicants and select who they want to work with. So that's how it works on the project-based side. On subscription, there are 3 different rates. And again, the subscriptions run in increments of 10 hours. So anywhere from 10 hours to 160 hours. And there are 3 different pay rates that the attorney can specify which one they want. So it's going to net the freelancer anywhere from $52.50 to $100 an hour. And I'm advocating strongly for another higher level because I think a lot of the work is sophisticated enough it really warrants it, and the clients are willing to pay the higher fees. I'm right now lobbying for that. Don't tell anyone. Okay, so subscription obviously is 20 hours of work. You're paid at whatever the rate is. An ongoing relationship where there's a 30-day cancellation. So that's how that is, and it's working out great for a lot of people. Tax reporting. The attorney pays LAWCLERK. LAWCLERK pays you, the freelancer. You will get, as long as you make over $600 in a year, you will get a 1099 from LAWCLERK in January of each new year for tax reporting purposes. So you are a 1099. I think that covers fees and taxes. A lot of other people also ask about malpractice insurance. The freelancers are not required to have malpractice insurance because you're not engaged in the practice of law. The attorney is. You're working under their supervision. So the malpractice is still on the hiring attorney. You are not required to have your own. You're not required to have your own Westlaw or Lexis or whatever legal research software you want to have, but it sure helps. And the attorneys are not required to provide it for you. Most of our freelancers have their own. And if you don't have that set up yet, there's, FastCase has their software free through the majority of the state bars as a member benefit. Check that out. Or, we've talked to Westlaw, we've talked to Lexis. If you call them and reach out and explain that you're freelancing, et cetera, they have some really affordable plans depending on how robust of a system you need. So reach out to them directly. They're most likely not going to charge you full law firm rates. They've got some pretty good rates for freelancers and people just starting out. So another question was how often you get paid. So on the project-based work, you get paid when the work is marked as completed and that the attorney's happy with it. If there's any sort of a dispute, if they say you were late or they're not happy, we work that out. We try to be as fair and equitable to both sides. And oftentimes it ends up where you're still paid for the freelance work, even if the attorney was not happy. We just eat it. We pay you, we refund them their money in hopes that we have a better experience the next time. So project-based work, you're paid when the project is done. Subscription-based work is paid every 2 weeks. Okay, so if you're in a subscription for 40 hours a month, you'd get paid for half of that every 2 weeks. Okay. There's a question about sources or references for LAWCLERK itself. I may not understand your question, Ron. I'm sorry. It says you're trying to do your diligence to check us out, and I totally get that. I'm wondering if you're wanting to see the quality of the freelancers, if you want to talk to some of our freelancers to see what their experience has been. We do have a bunch of, one thing I could offer is there are a bunch of testimonial videos on our YouTube page. Mostly from the freelancer side, although we have from the hiring attorney side, although I know we have one from the freelancer side, Fabio. But we have a bunch of testimonials on both our homepage and our YouTube page. If you just youtube.com/LAWCLERK. If you like learning by video, we have a lot of resources on there. I could try to grab a link for you real quick. Otherwise, Ron, you could, if that helped. If not, Ron, I'm going to drop my email here. If you have, that didn't quite answer your question, drop me an email, okay? And we can chat outside of here. Okay, great issue from Stephanie, and thank you for bringing this up. Stephanie said she's logged in. She sees some projects are very old. They've been sitting there past the expiration of expiration day, and we understand that can be confusing. Should you apply? Should you not? We are working on some internal things that after a project doesn't move forward after a certain number of days, that it is taken off the site. Right now, we never know exactly what the time frame is for an attorney, and things can change with their client, their case, or maybe they post the project and then the case settles, they forget about the project. There's a whole bunch of things that go on. I know it's confusing and it clutters up the space. We have implemented systems to remove the different team applications after 30 days to help clean those up. And we do from time to time go in and clean up some of the old projects that are clearly past their date, not going to happen. So we apologize for that. And again, Stephanie, if you have more feedback on that, or if you have ideas of what information would be helpful to know when looking at those, that would be really great. But we are trying to implement better communications about the status of different projects. And on the subscription side, we also, on our roadmap, is to build out a feature that if you say you apply for a subscription and you're like, gosh, am I going to get this or not? What's going on? What's the status? Again, some of these attorneys, they're already super busy when they're at the point of hiring help for subscription. And so it can sometimes be hard for us to pin them down to help them pick the best applicant, to help them do the easy paperwork to get started, et cetera. And so things get pushed a week or two later than initially planned. And so we have looked at a way to send out kind of a status update to all of the applicants who either went through the interview process or who were not selected to interview, so that they know they can kind of free up their deck to go apply for other work. For projects, I mean, if you know the attorney, you could ask them before applying. If you don't, we don't allow direct communication like that. In fact, we really discourage it. It really can be a turnoff from a lot of our clients. We've had freelancers reach out to them like before. They really don't like it. So I would probably caution you from reaching out directly to the attorney. Certainly, if ever you're curious what's going on with a specific project, if you want to email support@lawclerk.legal, we can take a look at it and update you with any information we have. So that's I would discourage you from reaching out directly to the attorneys, just because we have gotten feedback from them that they don't particularly like that. So you guys have great questions. Are there any more? Yeah, the contact information is Stephanie. She asked about the contact information. That is given to you after you are matched with them on a project. So until you're matched, that is not readily available. So yeah, that's why another reason it makes it tricky. So we did have, yeah, I won't even tell you what some of the people were doing because they were getting themselves into a lot of hot water. But well, guys, this was great. I hope it was helpful. Again, if you haven't set up a profile with LawClerk, this is a great time to do it. Take 5 minutes, get that set up. That way you can check it out, give it a try. There's no long-term commitments. If you do a few projects with us and it works out great, awesome. If it doesn't for whatever reason, well, number one, we want to hear that feedback from you. Number two, the sky's the limit with a law degree. You really can do whatever you put your mind to. I'm a big believer of that. And you may think it's corny, but I really am. And I really hope that if you're wanting to do freelance work, we can be a great resource for you to find that work, connect with attorneys that need your help, and make those daydreams of a freelance career a reality. So thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday. Take care. And for those of you who are already on the LawClerk marketplace, thank you for the awesome work you're doing. We appreciate you, and we're going to keep working hard to bring more and more opportunities to you every day. So thanks, guys.